Day number 3 is upon us, and it's time to find out who will be our third champion, or crowned third champion here for WCS Valencia. A warm welcome, ladies and gentlemen, around the world as we have our top 8 representing today, and we will find out who is going to be walking away with the lion's share of that $100,000 prize pool and that 11,000 WCS points up for grabs. My name's Kyle Laris. I'll be hosting throughout the day, and to my left we have Todd and In Control joining us. Yesterday, Todd, we had the round of 16 conclude. Not too many upsets here or there, but certainly some surprise results in terms of the actual scores.
Yeah, definitely. There's been a few of these, and 5 of the players here out of the 8 that we got left were actually in the round of 8 last time as well in Jönköping. So definitely a lot of familiar faces and a lot of consistency amongst those players, but we also got some returns. As much as I completely butchered my prediction of Showtime and he went out like as soon as I say that, Snoot is actually coming back strong here. Yeah. Last time he lost in the round of 16, now he's already in the round of 8, and he looked really good so far this tournament.
Yeah, Jeff, speaking of the consistency that Todd is nodding his head to, we have ranks 1 through 7 in the WCS rankings, and then we have ranked 9th, with Cham being 8th, but unfortunately was eliminated in the earlier round. So if there's any kind of level of consistency, that's amazing to see, 1 through 7 and then 9.
Yeah, it makes sense. These are the guys that have been doing well, and they continue to. I think this tournament has that interesting element of it is very close to Jönköping, so if you are good at Jönköping, you're probably good here. I like what Todd said, though, about Showtime, because it's actually interesting because this is going to be the tournament that is a little bit of missed opportunities for some of these guys. Yeah. We are getting closer to those final tournaments, the final amount of points, and that makes Montreal, not to get too far ahead of ourselves, but Montreal in September is going to be a doozy because that's going to be the last stop for a lot of these guys. Showtime in particular, if he doesn't qualify, he will get there, and it's got to be do or die. So, you know, that's down the road, but WCS has a lot of fun stuff. These guys are going to be solidifying their lead. Neeb's just playing for history at this point in time. He'll be at the global finals.
Yes, he will. He will, having taken 2 of the number 1 spots to the point where he can't go twice. So now we will have another player going for points alone. Once again, a big thanks to our sponsor here in Asus, who is along for the journey here for WCS Valencia. And what a journey it has been so far. We've had a lot of cool upsets in the group stage here or there, obviously with, as Todd has mentioned before, Showtime going out. But overall, what we've seen here from WCS has been, as we said, that consistent outlook of these players. One of the big questions is today, can Neeb take a third, Todd?
I mean, I keep on kind of predicting against him. He's like the last Protoss every time, and all Protosses out there are like, it's time for a buff, please, Neeb, don't do it again. But then he wins the whole thing. Special has been so close twice that to me, this might even be the highlight of the day. I mean, it's kind of hard to say that because it's quarterfinals match. I'm sure like the finals will be amazing as well. But Neeb against Special once again earlier than the semis or the finals.
Right. Are you going to pick Special?
Yeah.
You are?
Oh. Yeah.
You give him
I'm going to stick with
death?
You stay the course. You pick him until he finally wins, and then you sound like a genius.
I've been telling you the whole time. Yeah. That'll be great. That is the marquee matchup. That's going to be amazing.
Yeah, it really is. Let's take a look at how WCS works as a whole, just in case you missed our last 2 stops here on the tour, on the circuit. As you can see, we start with 76 players, 64 of which go into open brackets at the very beginning of the tour. From there on out, we eliminate those down to 32, and then 16 of those players move on to play against our 16 challenger players. We've done that twice. We were in Austin and we were in Jönköping. Now we're here in Valencia. And at the previous 2 stops, it's that familiar face in Neeb that was able to conquer them well. That being said, at this tournament here, he did look a little bit rocky against Probe. I think nobody really predicted Probe to come in as furiously as he did into the round of 16, Jeff. That was a great showing by him.
Yeah, we got to see him on the big stage finally. He was not at Jönköping, I believe it was, but he was at Austin, doing fairly well there as well. The Europeans produce some good, or not Europeans, the Australians, well, the Europeans do as well, but the Australians produce some heavy hitters. Iaguez has like just a WCS like fast pass, I think it is, to the round of 64, 32 or so. He'll be there every time. And then there's a few others that usually join him. And this time it was Probe, and Probe took Neeb to the limit. So if you guys missed that, make sure and check out those VODs yesterday. They were fantastic. Really great commentary for that one. Some people were calling it some of the best commentary they've ever heard. I don't know that we can quite say that yet, but it's getting there.
And by some people, you mean your relatives?
Yeah, well, certainly them, but they're really smart people, very handsome.
Right, the best kind of people to get feedback from. Of course, if you did miss yesterday, don't worry, as we've got you covered, but it was a great day of StarCraft games.
Elaser is legit in every shape and form. And then we have Haas, who's obviously really good at StarCraft, but plays a different game than most of us.
Yeah, I actually had a plan for each game. For example, on Sequencer, I planned to Nidus him, but he cannon rushed me.
There is that Nidus Worm going down inside the main, spotted by the last Zergling.
But I still went for the Nidus just for fun, and yeah, I won this one. And for each map, I had a pretty specific plan.
And maybe they hold off the front end of this, but there's too much Zerg coming, and has been eliminated. Elaser with, I don't know what that was.
We'll have Brazil versus Canada coming up next. It's Kelazor and Massa.
I prepared a lot of builds for Massa. I studied his previous games, but the first few games, he completely did something different that I wasn't expecting. He really caught me off guard.
Now this is the Banshee that we were talking about before. This is that nightmarish Amazonian Banshee that just one-taps you. GG!
So I had to do some improvisation mid-series to adapt to what he was doing, and it ended up working well.
And this could be where Kelazor ends this match and takes the series.
GG is called, and Massa has had enough. Kelazor will go on to the round of 8. Welcome to the PvP match of the century, Kalaris would have you believe. A wrestling match between the American that is Neeb and the Australian that is Probe.
He played a very disruptor heavy style, which isn't that common in Korea right now, so I was caught off guard a little. So I ended up losing a lot of fights, which I probably should have won.
Neeb is down 50 some odd supply. Probe is gonna murder through this, and Neeb is facing elimination in this next map.
And then the last game, it was pretty close. I got a lead early on, but he played pretty well after that, and then he was just caught off guard by my disruptors.
Probe showing it on his face. He knows that Neeb has a date with Destiny and is going to advance 3-2. You came close, kid. You did good, but unfortunately in the end, it is still Neeb all damn day.
That's right, great showing by Probe overall. And it's not a clash of the century. It's two continents colliding, Jeff.
Worlds
Two continents colliding?
Two continents. Worlds is a bit much for that one. So
wow.
We went with the continents. We went with the continents.
When you try to make it epic, it's never enough.
I know. I just need to keep raising the bar. I did the Andromeda crashing into the Milky Way at one point. That was fun. You enjoyed that one. But anyway, let's take a look at the bracket and see what is going on here as we progress through today, because we have our round of 8 coming up, as well as our semifinals and then grand finals down the line. Everything will be best of 5s apart from the grand final, which will be best of 7. Boys, that is a great lineup of 8 players.
And Claris, let me beat you to the punch. 4 of these players are going home.
It's true. Thank you.
4 of the 8, Todd.
The embodiment of Apollo throws through us all. Thank you.
2 ZvZs. I feel like you have to look at this and again favor Seral.
Yeah.
His ZvZ stats are gross. I'm sure Smix will kind of flash those stats for us up on the stage in a little while, but you just almost have to discount those guys. I'd love for it to be wrong, but this has been the tournament of consistency. We've just seen that history's going to repeat here, at least, unless someone wants to have a say with that. And then at the bottom half of the bracket, I'm sorry, the show's being robbed by Neeb versus Special. They put on a hell of a show at the last tournament, and here you almost look towards Special, and I was giving Todd a little bit of crap about it, but like, when is he going to beat Neeb? He's come very close. He looks extremely good. He's been playing very well. Could this be it here?
Yeah, could be.
To me, the big story when looking at the brackets is the WCS Circuit standings, because a couple players are decently safe, like Seral and Nerdcho. They got 3,000 and 4,000 points.
Yep.
So they don't even necessarily need to win here to get their place at the global finals, as long as, they keep on posting maybe a result later on in Montreal. But a lot of players are on the cusp of getting out of that top 8 there, which would be bad news. So True, Elaser, 6th, 7th place. Even Kelazor, 2,400 points, that's not that much.
Right.
And the points that you get as you move on, they get gradually better. I think right now everybody's guaranteed it's 600 points. If they win one more round, 900, but then we go crazy, 1,400 at least if you make the finals. And then if you win that finals, well, you get the spot as well, which unless Neeb again does it, and then it gets even crazier because then more players from the rankings get to go to the global finals.
Well, we're about to start on that road down towards the grand final. Smix, are you ready? We have a fantastic top 8.
I am, James. There's so many interesting storylines to go through today, but it all starts here with this Zerg versus Zerg. We have a 19-year-old from Finland who's looking in amazing form. He's one of the tournament favorites as he goes up against last year's WCS Summer Champion who's attempting a second WCS title. Only one can move on to the top 4. It's Seral and True.
Strange world that we live in when we say that our non-Korean is looking to be the favorite, I would say, coming into a matchup here against our one Korean residing in the tournament. True, going up against Seral, Jeff.
Yes, and I'll tell you, the one wrench in the gear here is that True is a gambler in-game and out, and if you ask a lot of the Zerg players, they don't like the ZvZ matchup because they say that it can get fairly coin flippy. There are some different builds. You can fall on the wrong side of that and be the better player, but still lose. That's, of course, an RTS thing. That's a StarCraft thing. But the ZvZ matchup might have a little bit more variance than they're comfortable with. So Seral, who is the favorite going into it, is looking across the table at a guy who is crazy. True's crazy.
Right.
He walks queens up and down maps in different matchups and has for a while. He's tough to play against.
That being said, Todd, though, Seral comes from Europe, where every single time in Challenger, he has to go through Zerg and Zerg and Zerg, and he lays it in Nurture, in Snoot, etc. And he does always come out on top. He's a beast.
Yeah, in the previous Challengers that we saw, he won both times, and that was of beating a lot of top Zergs. Elaser in particular, who's also like a fantastic Zerg player. There might be also that rematch in the semifinals. That would be great, I think. But yeah, first he has to go through that's like really good, really scrappy, I guess you could describe him as that. And he's going to have to be on point. Like, I feel like a lot of players, they haven't played to the style of their opponent enough. You know, I'm thinking T-Drogo immediately against True. Like, you know what True likes to do, but he treated him like a normal Zerg, and he paid the price for it because he got eliminated. So hopefully Seral's on point. What shocks me a lot, actually, with Seral is that we mentioned he's 19 years old. He's already made quite a bit of money, almost 60 grand. I feel like at the end of this year, this is going to be like double or triple.
It should. Yeah. That's how good he is, Todd. But it's actually almost interesting that he's only earned 60,000 because well, that's a lot. But for these guys, like I think of players like Neeb who have been hyped up, but then capitalizing on it. Neeb's at like $250,000.
Yes, he is.
So there is a difference here. Seral's been held down a little bit. He's been this good, but he takes second place at Young Shaping. And a lot of people are like, no, this is Seral's tournament. His form is unbeatable right now. Even Neeb going into the finals was like, oh yeah, he's. Right. I'm surprised he played that way.
Seral is hyped, again, from many as to maybe being the next big thing in the foreign scenes. If he wins here, $25,000 to add to his 58, that's not too bad.
Yeah. I'm getting word that our players are already ready here for WCS Valencia. So without further ado, let's head over to the commentary team for our first round of 8 match here in this Zerg versus Zerg.
Thank you very much, James. We're going to be getting started with such an amazing ZvZ. My name is Fear Dragon. I'm joined by Pig at the commentary desk. How you doing today, Pig?
I am feeling good and ready for some action-packed Zerg vs. Zerg to kick off the day. Seral up against True, the young Finn against the crazy and wild Korean Zerg player. This is definitely going to be a very exciting match, my friend.
I am insanely excited, as this is a really, really cool match, and I think the commentary or the desk was talking a little bit about how Seral just really dominates, especially in ZvZ, but I think the way that True tends to just take games is everyone underestimates him, and then he just shows up and starts dominating.
Well, speaking of the man himself, representing Psystorm Gaming, up here in the top right-hand side of Sequencer, it is True.
And down here in the bottom left-hand corner of the map, the red Zerg player putting the ants in Valencia. Give it up for Seral.
Wow.
I wrote that down 3 weeks ago, and I'm so glad I got to use it.
That's actually just incredible. That's brave. That's brave, Robbie. I salute you, you know, as one awkward dad at the barbecue to another, you know, I take my hat off to you, and our kids laugh at us in jest. Gotta mix in some of those good dad jokes there, man. And I am very excited because we're going straight into Sequencer. And this is such a weird map. It's so hard to see everything that happens on this map. I gotta say, that's gonna play into True's hands. He's a guy who loves running Zerglings around, getting them in from all sides, and it's going to be a real battle for Seral to keep eyes on all of these many paths across the map.
Absolutely. We already see that Seral is going to go for the hatch, then pool, but I was talking with Seral during breakfast this morning. I was saying, you know, I feel pretty good about this. He was predicting a 3-1 victory over True, and he's saying, yeah, I think I just have to play safe, standard. I don't need to take any risks. I am the better player in the long term, and I think that's a pretty accurate description of how you want to try and handle True, but True sometimes will just show up. It reminds me a lot about Slayer's Boxer back in the day. Everyone will say, oh yeah, you know, he's such a great player and everything, and then he'll just not have the greatest performances in a couple tournaments. Just everyone starts doubting him, and then suddenly everyone says, yeah, you know what? He's all washed up. And that's when Slayer's Boxer would just start performing out of his mind. And I feel like True, somewhat similar. He just starts performing out of nowhere.
I think that's such a good way of putting it as well, because there's those two approaches to StarCraft, and they're not always, you know, completely exclusionary, but you've got one, the player like Seral here, he looks to just build a solid basis to win in all situations. True looks to exploit weakness. He looks to take advantage of his opponent, put them in the awkward position and try to mess them up, and we can see that reflected in the opening build orders. True going for a relatively standard opening, going to be rushing out the Ling speed, which will give him the chance to be aggressive. Meanwhile, Seral has gone for an exceptionally fast third hatchery, skipped the gas entirely, was building a safety spine crawler in case he spotted a rush, but the moment he saw the creep spread coming out of True's natural expansion, he said, hey, I'm safe, cancels the spine, and just non-stop drones out of Seral.
Yeah, and while that third expansion is now finished up, it looks like for Seral, True is only just now kind of getting his up, so it's going to be a bit annoying for True to discover how much further behind he is on that expansion, but he is grabbing the low ground expansion. It has a few more mineral patches, has a few more, or one extra gas geyser, and oh, we got an evolution chamber coming down already right now, Pig. Interested to see where how that's going to be used, if he's just going to be using for upgrades or if he's going to use his patented Overlord drops.
Double gas now going down for Seral as well. Both players powering up. No huge swell of Zerglings out of True just yet. And ooh, a fast lair goes down for our Korean Protoss up here in the blue. And that's a very interesting move. Only 2 miners on gas right now. Potentially could see a Nidus swarm out of this. I mean, he's going to be doing that little Zergling elevator on the left-hand side, putting on a bit of pressure with that. But I'm really curious what this lair is going to be for. If we see him just drop a whole bunch of gas geysers, it very well may just be a Mutalisk rush.
Okay, well, we'll see how effective this Overlord is going to be, because it looks like not effective at all. There's a full wall off over here for Seral, and the Overlord gets pushed back immediately by those Queens. It's a big gas investment to go this early on, especially when you're looking to go into lair tech. You're absolutely going to be looking to invest into lair tech units that all cost gas.
Yeah, it looks like it is going to be that Spire Tech, Ravi, for True, and I mean, Seral is just building roaches. He is building so many units. That Overlord just barely escaping is so good for Seral. And he's getting Overlord speed as well. Looks like he just wants to do a lot of follow-up scouting, see exactly what's going on. But I feel like the Spire is going to be pretty much finished by the time those Overlords get in there. So Seral, using this worker lead, is just going to saturate 3 bases, look to move out with roaches, might even just look to take a 4th base, because it's very hard to kill your opponent with a roach push when the rush distance is this far.
Absolutely. Now, there are sometimes options where you can try and just hit with the big roach push before the Mutas start popping out in large numbers. But like you said, if Seral just kind of sits back, gets up his own lair tech, gets up an answer to the Mutas, he will eventually be able to move out. We'll see what he decides to do. +1 missile attack is about halfway finished up, so still a little while longer. And I don't think he's actually gotten any major hints about exactly what True is up to, but do you feel like he may have some sense of what's going on?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure yet. It's really hard to say with the limited information, but Seral's got a speed overseer making its way across the map. That's going to be scouting out very soon, and it will, of course, get warning before these Mutalisks are on the way. So that's going to come in. He sees a lot of gases mining. I think he just glimpsed the Zergling pack there, which is a little bit of a tell in itself that he hasn't seen any roaches. And interestingly, yeah, there we go. He turns around, goes in, spots the Spire, and says, oh, okie doke. No doubt we're going to see a lot of Spore Crawlers coming out. Seral, in the meantime, he's actually going to start pushing out with these roaches. But if he goes too far out, that could be a little bit dangerous. So yeah, he's just going to turn around, build Spore Crawlers across those bases, and try to secure a 4th base. It's very important he gets that extra base up. If the Mutalisks and Zerglings can deny that, then it makes it very difficult for Seral to get creep over there. Without creep, you can't get Spore Crawlers and anti-air, and that's where True can build an advantage for himself.
Yeah, very fast infestation hit coming down for Seral, and that 4th expansion is going to be incredibly important because remember, Seral got the in-base 3rd expansion that only has a single gas geyser. Infestors, very gas-intensive units. He needs those extra gas geysers, especially compared to True, who has that low ground expansion, has a better economy off of this.
Still no upgrades on the way for the ground army of True, and he's gone straight to a Hydralisk Den behind us. I think we're going to see Lurkers, a fantastic choice on this map. Of course, the Mutalisks coming in down here, engaging on top of these units. Not finding anything just yet. A good number of Queens there. The Roaches going to have to come in to support that. These Mutalisks and Zerglings, they want to deny that base. They want to see if they can do it.
Oh, they're getting it really, really low on health points, so it may even just be a target for later. I like the fact that True is also knocking down those rocks or trying to just whittle away at it so he can have another counter-attack option later on. I mean, when you go for this Ling Muta style, you really want to try and pull your opponent apart. This is so to True's style, to try and find weaknesses in Seral's defense.
He's still just making masses of Zerglings and Mutas here. True just frozen up on 59 workers. He's breaking down these rocks. Seral a little bit slow to respond. His Queens are out of position right now. Catches an Infestor as it pops.
That's a great pickup. He's going to be able to find 2 more Infestors. They don't have enough energy for Fungal Growth. One of the Infestors goes down. The second one gets target fired down. And these Mutas are already finding quite a bit of value, making their way to the main base. It looks like those Lings do get cleaned up by the Roaches, but Seral, he is cleaning up some of these Mutas with the Queens. True's going to have to back up for now.
Good defense there by Seral. That could have gone a lot worse. Didn't really lose any workers. He's still tied up on the worker count. He's got Changelings over in the bases of True. And has he spotted that Lurker Den yet? I don't think he has. It's in the back of the 3rd. It's hidden back there, so he hasn't seen that just yet.
Yeah, and remember that Lurkers are incredibly strong units, but big Ling run by with the Mutas over to the 3rd, taking out the Spine Crawler. The Mutas can now leave and let the Lings handle anything else over there. Looks like the Roaches and the Queens do come back in the, just barely in the nick of time. Infestors still beating up some energy. They're only at 63 energy. They need 75 to throw out the Fungals, but they have Burrow Research now. They're going to be a lot safer versus those Mutas.
Oh, the Mutas coming into that natural. They are finding a Queen. The Spore Crawler's lacing is good for the moment. A lot of workers have gone down, but they're still tied up in that worker count. Seral managing to hang on against this crazy multi-prong. True wants to create chaos right now. He wants to force the mistakes out of Seral.
Oh, Fungal should be ready now, and he can throw those out. Remember, burrowed units will not be seen, and gets a handful of them, but can he actually finish them off? He's going to be able to kill off a couple of them. Nice Corrosive Bile is going to be landing, and does get some good pickoffs there, but for 12 drones, you think it was worth it?
You know, it's pretty even trades on both sides. The thing is, Seral here is kind of stuck on this Roach Hydra Infestor army. And I think I've got to take my hat off to him, though. Look at this speed. Overseer scouting once again. Seral is so keen to see what the transition. He knows now no Hive is out. I think he's seen some Hydras on the way as well. He really needs to prepare for these Lurkers because Lurkers are such a dangerous unit. If they get burrowed in a choke point, like, it can just be pretty much over all at once. But Seral, he's hanging on, he's massing up these units, he's building a few more Queens, and he's just looking to defend everything that comes his way.
I mean, when you're dealing with Lurkers, he does spot some of those Lurkers making their way across the map. When you're dealing with Lurkers, you want to be able to, very similar to a siege tank push, force them to siege up, force them to burrow as they're moving their way across the map. Buy yourself time and never let them get siege up directly in range of your hatchery, because that's how you just lose that expansion.
Exactly. He's going to need maybe a few more Ravages in order to use those delaying tactics. That was good. Caught a couple of Lurkers there. Of course, Fungal, good for detecting. Overseers coming in as well as a Hive. The upgrades well in the lead right now for Seral with that +2 attack. No ground attack upgrades are done at all. +1 range only now on the way. True has fantastic map control. He has a dangerous army. But these Zerglings, I mean, they're not good in a frontal fight. They're only good if they can find their way into a worker line.
Yeah, I love how Seral just keeps sending out individual Roaches to keep an eye out for the army moving in. Because again, you do not want to be caught out of position with these Lurkers. So just keeping some eyes out on the map. Those Mutas still have quite a bit of map control and are kind of difficult for Seral to easily deal with, but can at least send out a few units to spare.
He's looking to catch Seral out of position right now, but he is always ready. Perfect positioning from Seral so far, and Seral could even counterattack with those Roaches on the right. He's cleaning up so many Zerglings here. Wow, this is just fantastic. Seral's losing nothing. Finally, the Lurkers are edging their way forward. They're in range of that hatchery, Ravi.
Yeah, he needs to use some corrosive biles or something to take out those Lurkers at some point. He's waiting around. He's trying to play this out patiently. He is going into the top left-hand corner, I believe, with a few roaches. But here we go. The roaches burrow or unburrow on top of some of those Lurkers, but they're all just getting shredded. It seems like the Lurkers will eventually get cleaned up.
Finally, they do manage to clean that up. Seral hanging on, and at the same time, a massive burrowed roach counterattack getting into the economy of True. But True, so far, the Zergling's doing okay. The Mutas are back there as well. A few more roaches sneaking into that third in the natural, and this is where the damage can be found. True never had a big economy to begin with. If he loses a bunch of drones here, he is going to be way behind Seral.
Mutas are great at cleaning up roaches eventually, but definitely not very good at cleaning them up quickly before the drones start going down. And these burrowed roaches and all these different mineralized are going to be so annoying because True, unless he moves an Overseer over all these bases or builds a Spore Caller on all of them, he's not going to know when he's actually cleaned up all these burrowed roaches. It's going to be so annoying for him to deal with.
Oh, this control from Seral is so good. Total of 13 workers going down there. He's up at 68 drones versus 50. 5 Vipers are popping out for Seral, plus 3 range on the way. Spine Crawlers going down at every base. Seral making sure he is rock solid against counterattacks, securing a 5th base at the same time. And this is just great play. A masterclass of defensive Zerg versus Zerg. Even though this map had so many angles, True just could not find a way to surprise Seral.
So many Zergs would just cave under the pressure that True was putting on, and just that pressure from the Lurkers getting in range of the hatchery, but Seral played it out so patiently, knew the exact moment, saying, no, you know what, I can wait until just a little bit longer. My hatchery can lose a little bit of health. I'm gonna get the perfect positioning. I'm gonna handle all the harassment for all the different angles, and looks like True may have spotted the kind of glimmer that ends up showing up when those roaches are burrowed, but is going to be able to clean those up before he takes too much damage, or at least force a reburrow.
Seral just pushing himself into a better and better position. He's not going for any big crazy attack. If he headbutts into those Lurkers, he very well could lose this game. But here, he's waited for the Vipers. He's just going to rip those Lurkers out of the ground. Fungal's landing on top of the roaches as well. Seral never overcommitting, just picking off some units, picking off drones in the back lines at the same time. He's just going to keep looking for these efficient trade-offs.
Yeah, and going to go after these rocks. True, moving across the map with the counterattack of these Lings and the Mutas, but does he realize that he is about to see a ton of units inside his natural expansion? Those Lurkers not going to be defending that position at all. The Lings able to find some good damage over here. There's a handful of Hydras and Roaches back at home to help defend. The Mutas plus the Lings should be able to handle this, though.
Yeah, I mean, with the reinforcements and so many Queens coming over, Seral's going to be able to hang on here. At the same time, his army looking very threatening. More and more Roach counterattacks getting into True's base. Oh, Seral is just controlling the pace of this game. True keeps going with these huge counterattacks. He finally picks off those Queens. A lot more Hydras will be going down as they pop out, but Seral, if he can get this base, that's going to be a really nice pickup for him.
Absolutely. It's going to shut down a ton of True's economy. He does still have that top left-hand base, but you know, True is starting to do a significant amount of damage back at home. These Mutas still doing some good damage. The Roach counterattack. These Lurkers taking out so many of these Hydras as well. They're too far away. They can't actually see him, and he loses a lot more than he needs to. Even the Roach is now getting on top of the Hydras.
Seral, he's got such a micro-intensive army, so many spellcasters, but True is forcing him to micro in 3 or 4 places at once. And even Seral is not able to micro all of that perfectly, but turns around in the retreat, lands the chain fungal, takes out a lot of those roaches.
But loses a lot of the infestors in the process. Only Vipers and Overseers left in the air over there for Seral. He's going to have to retreat back with some of those. And Seral has actually lost some of his own mining bases. True has his freshest mining base in the top left-hand corner, but you can see that Seral really needs to make sure this hatchery stays alive. The big Roach attack is moving on in, and a couple of Vipers even weakening up the hatchery, but he knows how important this defense is. He knows how good those blinding clouds could be.
The Changeling's coming in to try and block up the Hydras of Seral. True trying to pull out everything because he is running out of steam. True just lost so much economy earlier. He never had a big economy to begin with, and now he is down 60 supply. The Roaches from Seral just always finding their way in. Even in the midst of that, Seral, he will always split off units because he knows the power of pulling your opponent's attention away. He knows the power of constantly hitting their economy, and because of that, True's economy is just being drained down. 45 workers. Yeah, he's still got a fresh base, but that's just about all of his mining right now.
I mean, throughout this tournament, we've seen one of Seral's best attributes is the fact that even when he is the face of defeat, even when something incredibly scary is at his front door, he is still counterattacking. He's still finding just a handful of units that he can put some pressure on his opponent with and either force them into an all-in position or pull them all the way back home, alleviating all the pressure. And that's exactly what we're seeing here once again from Seral. Even using a couple more of these 3 burrowed roaches, moving over to the main base, moving all along the left-hand side of the map, he's going to be able to get some more damage done.
Just steadily forcing himself into a better and better position. This is the hallmark of a fantastic StarCraft player. Not gambling on one big attack, going for the shore leads and picking away. Moves in, sees the lurkers, pulls back. A couple of abducts on those ravages. Very cute there. Seral just picking away those units for free. True trying to make this roach counterattack work on the left-hand side. Seral is tracking him, though, with his own roach Hydra Force. Should be able to deal with this. Great angle. And remember that upgrade advantage. 3-1 versus just plus 2-1, I believe. Or plus just 2 for True. Yeah, no armor upgrades and no +3. The roaches and hydras of Seral just go so much better.
Yeah, True going after the hydrogen, but then realizing, you know, I gotta just try and trade out as much as possible for this army. Buy some time by moving as far back into the main base as possible while he moves along the right-hand side of the map with a handful of these roaches and ravagers, maybe catching Seral slightly out of position. This is a very important mining base for Seral. In fact, it may be one of the last remaining mining bases for Seral.
And you know, that might matter a lot, Ravi, but Seral's just not losing army units right now. He is maxed out, and I mean, True's done such a good job of finally finding his way into the economy, but Seral's defense was too good in the early stages. He just got himself such a big lead. And, I mean, the quality of this army from Seral, the corrosive vials of True actually end up landing on his own ravages because of the abducts there.
Yeah, the running gun tactics of True eventually are going to hit a hard wall of the fact that he needs to be able to take the direct army engagement.
Yeah.
He's relying a lot on those lurkers, but 1 or 2 good blinding clouds or even just pulling those lurkers straight out of the ground is going to be an incredibly effective tactic to break through this front line.
Very nicely done by Seral. He does lose 10 workers to this roach counterattack. Caught a little bit unawares, but he's going to be able to replace those. He's got 2 fresh bases that have just popped in. And more roaches finding the last bastion of True's economy. They're going to take down that spine crawler with ease. And they're going to tear apart that drone line. And with that, I think True's hopes in this game are going to be trickling out of the hourglass. Those roaches of his just not finding any purchase. He's going to get a few more drone kills, but he needs to do more than that. And it's all but over, Ravi. It looks like Seral here, he's weathered the storm of True in game number 1.
Yeah, I mean, the army supply lead, even the worker lead. True is doing a really nice job with this kind of counter harassment. And sometimes it's also just nice to just go down, not with a little whimper, but you go down fighting. And it really puts it into your opponent's mind in game number 1. Man, that was so annoying. I had to work so hard just to take them out, and I had to deal with all these annoying drops and harassments. Am I really going to end up losing this game just because I lose all my drones? These kind of things start darting through your mind, and it's just an annoying thing, and it lets you get some composure as you move into game number 2. Seral going up 1-0.
GG, and I like what you said there, Ravi. You know, True is one of these guys. He likes to annoy his opponent. He likes to pick away at them. He likes to find weakness coming in from all those angles. We saw it in his game against Petit Drogo yesterday, where there was that one game, even though Drogo won the base trade, it went for about 5 minutes longer than it should have, and Drogo was very stressed out in that situation. So True, he always forces his opponents to go down to the wire. Never gives up easily.
Yeah, now there are those wonderful fans out there with the True signs looking up to him, hoping that he can somehow manage a turnaround. Now, that last game, it was a very, very back and forth game. I do feel like True was able to get some pretty interesting amounts of damage done with the mutas, the lings, all of those kind of run-bys and counterattacks. He was able to accomplish something, and the lurkers did really make it difficult for Seral to engage into, but where do you feel like things kind of fell apart for him?
It's really interesting, right? Because I feel like against anyone else, True's game plan kind of made sense. This is a style which I actually used to play something very similar in the early days of Legacy of the Void, where you said, well, okay, mutas are fantastic. They're so mobile. They're so fast. And you could see he committed to maybe, 16, 17, a lot of mutalisks. You can run around. You can force a lot of anti-air. And he forced Seral to focus on spore crawlers, infestors, hydralisks. None of those units are especially great versus lurkers, especially if the lurkers get sieged up. Infestors and hydras are pretty much the worst things for breaking that position. But he needed to get in and find an angle. And you could see he kept building Zerglings because he wanted to just keep hitting from multiple sides. And in a moment when Seral's army's out of position, the lurkers run in, siege up on a base, and then he basically, you know, gets way ahead or just straight up wins the game. But Seral always had roaches in position. He made True bleed out so many units even to break down the rocks. He put down spores and spines everywhere. Even when True found a little opening here or there, picked off some queens or drones, it was never enough to really put a big dent in True's economy, in Seral's economy, sorry. So I love the lurker style, but I think eventually he just didn't find any use for those masses of Zerglings. It didn't quite work out. Seral was just a little bit too strong in that game number 1.
Okay, well, we're going to be hopping into game number 2 to see if this man down here in the bottom right-hand corner of the map can bring it back. The blue Zerg player from Storm Gaming. Give it up for True.
And his opponent spawning up here in the top left-hand side of Ascension to Aya. It is Seral. Looking very focused there in the booth. Of course, Zerg versus Zerg. There's so much that runs through your head every single early game. This is a map we've seen True do some early pulls before on. He's done 13-12s here. Those early speedling rushes, which he expands behind. And we've even seen him just go for hatchery first into evolution chamber block on the opponent's gas mining before.
Yep.
Which last time I saw him do that, he didn't actually work out too well for him. But he's like the guy who has a lot of tricks up his sleeve. And I'm kind of surprised to see just a hatch gas pull both game 1 and game 2 here.
Yeah, you know, I think sometimes it's just about the fact that True knows he has a reputation as being this player that can bust out the weird things. And if you don't sometimes go standard, then you kind of lose a lot of that power that comes with being so unpredictable. You want to sometimes keep them guessing, saying, you know what? Some of these games, I am going to go normal. If you just play a little bit too safe, if you're always prepared for some big attack, then I'm going to play greedy one of these games. I'm just going to go for really quick 3 hatcheries. I'm just going to play super standard, super solid, and you're going to be behind. Because we saw that, yeah, while True is really good at aggression, he also seems to have a pretty solid amount of macro.
Definitely something which kind of, I think, separates True from maybe a Haas.
Yeah.
You know, normally True makes it a round or 2 deeper in these tournaments, sometimes wins these tournaments, because he does have a much more standard range of builds, as well as these crazy wild ones as well. Of course, even when True opens up a little bit conservatively, we are no doubt going to be seeing aggression. We're going to see mobility. It's always about creating that chaos. He wanted to make it happen last game, but Seral managed to lock up the ship tight. Batten down the hatches and weathered the storm. Let's see if he can do it again. Seral going for a very fast Baneling Nest. No doubt we'll be going for a 3rd base behind that. True's actually quite far ahead on the workers here. He didn't build any Zerglings at the start, while Seral built 6 of them. So nice start here for Seral, for True, sorry.
Yeah, it's going to mean that he has just a few more drones earlier on, but this 3rd expansion, or the 3rd hatchery, is going to be under some attack from these 4 lings. Now, 4 lings, 4 True are going to be coming in, but like you said, 6 lings are out, and getting some good damage done on that hatchery, at least to start with.
Yeah, I mean, Seral did leave 2 Zerglings at home, so not able to get that cancel, which he would have absolutely loved. True has mined a little bit more money this game. He's dropping his own Baneling Nest just now, a little bit later on. And I think we're going to be seeing a very typical opening up here. The question is, how much do these players commit to the Ling Bane? Neither player has built an extra queen just yet. That means both players are going to be going straight out aggressive with their Ling Bane. Neither player can afford to sit back defensively, and yet True here droning very hard. He's going up to 36 workers with no extra defense, really dancing with death here. That's actually really dangerous.
And you can see that Seral morphed in the Banelings defensively. He didn't move across the map and start making them. He morphed them in defensively, and the Banelings are going to take a long time to waddle across the map. True being offensive with these Lings. I think Seral finally is caught on. There are no follow-up Lings. You aren't flooding out a ton of Lings and trying to get aggressive. You were droning up, so he's finally going to start to move across the map. Can True just maintain that small little worker advantage that he managed to secure himself? He does have his own Banelings now, and he's going for a counterattack.
Nice little Zergling counterattack. Of course, his own 3rd is in trouble. True going to bring his Banelings up to defend that while Seral's distracted. Gets 1 really good hit and does force Seral to pull back there. Of course, nice split from Seral. Will activate a single Baneling there, but True has snuck 2 Banelings into the main base of Seral. Seral hasn't spotted it. That could get a big hit. I mean, Seral's doing some great aggression here. Is he going to get that hatchery? It looks like not quite.
But those banelings are all going off on the hatchery. Here we go, though. True gonna try and equalize the damage, and Seral is very late on. 5 workers do end up falling, but that third base for True is so low on health now, Pig.
And True's army supply, 32 to 18. He has kept a lot more Zerglings alive in the midst of this. That early mining advantage working out for him as well. True is way up, and he is about to go super hard here. Pedal to the metal, Ling Bane roaring across this map. Seral, he doesn't have any extra queens. How can he possibly defend this?
Oh, this is going to be incredibly difficult. A bunch of the Lings already getting surrounded. Some Banelings trying to get involved in the fight, but they have to be so careful. 2 Banelings will kill another Baneling, and a decent hit goes off, but True losing quite a few of these Banelings, even a queen picking off the last one there.
Sick focus fire from Seral so far, and he gets the third hatchery in the midst of it. A couple Zerglings are running rampant in his main and natural, though. I think Seral, he just didn't quite have the numbers here. He's lost 10 workers. He's now down 7 workers. It looks like he's stabilized at the third. But things aren't over yet. True coming across the map with another big wave of Zerglings. Seral needs to create some space for himself here. He needs to push back out onto that map.
Yeah, this has become a very weird situation. True has lost his third base, but he has a good worker advantage right now. Seral even droning up in the midst of this, saying, you know what? No, I actually feel good about this. I can catch up in the drones that I just lost. I can also defend, and he does take care of a lot of Lings on the north, but now the Lings coming in the south.
Big Zergling counterattack has been split off by Seral as well. He wants to keep denying that third of True's while keeping his own up. He's going to get that cancel, but his own third is in trouble. Banelings arriving just in time to force True back. Yeah, this is amazing handling from Seral, but the problem there is on that production tab, Ravi.
Yeah, that production tab, we see the Spire going up behind all this for True, and he's going to be able to continue to deny the scouting from Seral's Lings. If those Lings get into the main base for True, it's going to be a very different situation, much more difficult. True's trying to reestablish that third base, and Seral's third base is admittedly fairly low on health, potentially a target for later on, with True having so many Lings out on the map.
This is madness right now. Both players skirmishing. Couple of great split-offs there from Seral. Takes out 2 Banelings from True, and he's just buying a lot of time there. Here we go. His defense at home very solid as well. The Overlord positioning here from Seral is fantastic. He's got great vision over this whole side of the map. He's got forward warning whenever those Lings and Banes come in, spotting those Banelings morphing. Very well done.
Yeah, kind of interesting, by the way. It's worth noting that +1 missile attack was recent. Oh, hold that thought. We do have, 2 for 3, a good trade for True, and still 1 Baneling left over, but looks like not able to get too much done over there.
I mean, if Seral stumbles here at all, he's going to lose a lot of drones. 2 Banelings on their own, not fantastic for hanging on there. Does use the drones to help hang on at the same time, though. Banelings coming in here. That Queen with +1 range attack going to try and snipe down these Banelings. It's going okay for Seral, but he is so close to losing so many drones.
Oh, this is getting so dangerous. Couple of Lings segmented off over to the mineral line, but still not able to find a whole lot. And you can see Seral really able to make use of that +1 missile attack with those queens, but now the mutas are out. So let's see if the +1 missile attack is going to be helpful against those.
Yeah, I mean, those queens, I guess they'll kill the mutas slightly faster, but it's definitely a situation which is awkward for Seral. You can see him desperately trying to spread creep between those bases, trying to get Spore Crawlers down.
Whoa.
That's a big snipe there. Every queen that goes down just makes these mutas so much more powerful.
Yeah, right now we do have 4 queens out for Seral, but these queens getting involved in the fight, actually able to pick off a couple of these mutas, doing a really nice job so far. Those Banelings for Seral also really making it difficult for True to really get a good engagement.
Oh, the Zerglings got a nice surround. Those queens taking a lot of hits there. Seral defending though, and he catches the Baneling morph in the main. There's a lot of fighting going on right now, but True still down 14 workers. He's finally trying to drone up behind this and catch back up in that worker count. Meanwhile, Seral's lair has only just started. I mean, he's clawing his way back into this game. The start was kind of awful for Seral, but he's hanging in there, but his tech is still going to be so far behind.
I mean, this is one of those games that I always like to say it's a really awesome situation because they're, I would say in a lot of ways they're even, but they're ahead in different ways. True has the tech, he has those mutas, he has a lot of map control secured by those mutas, but his economy is absolutely suffering. Whereas Seral, with his lair so far behind, he's also starting to lose quite a few of these Lings on the ground, and you can see that army supply for True continuing to climb up.
Baneling's going into the third of Seral right now, but no, Baneling's in a queen there on the defense. Only gets 2 drones. Not bad for True, but not the hit he was hoping for. Nothing too drastic. Seral still with that worker lead, but only by a couple right now.
you know, that Muta count has been continuing to build up. He is not stopping it, even getting the +1 flyer attacks upgrade with only Queens as the defense for Seral up until now. He can start throwing down a Hydra Den or Infestation Pit, however he wants to handle this. It is going to be an Infestation Pit, but compared to a Hydra Den, it means he has to hold on a little bit longer. This Ling counterattack over at the third, gonna be able to take care of all the Lings on the ground. One Muto desperately trying to take care of these Lings, but he's gonna actually force them back.
True, finding pickups with these Mutalisks, finds a gap in the anti-air defense, a bunch of drones going down, Seral picking off some workers with his Zerglings as well. The Queens come back from Seral and shoo those Mutalisks away. Both players looking for little bits of damage wherever they can find it, looking to pull the other one's attention away, to stress them. You can feel the wrestling match that is this game right now. Both players trying to use their speed to just push the opponent over, to force mistakes out of them. Neither player giving up just yet. Both players are really still in this. True's droning up as well. The real question is, what does he tech into behind this? Is he just going to go mass Muta Zergling?
It seems like that is the way he is deciding to play. I mean, he's not getting any other kind of upgrades. He's getting the melee upgrade before anything else. So this is definitely going to be a huge commitment. He has to make something work. Oh,
nice transfuses go down. A couple of Mutalisks going down for free. And that's something which really helps, right? Because this Mutalisk count, that's his only plan. He doesn't even have Baneling speed. It's going to be pure Mutas, and he needs to keep the damage going. If he lets Seral max out with Infestors and Hydras, those Mutas are going to be appallingly bad. But up until that point, if he can pick them off in small numbers, those Mutalisks are going to keep regenerating. If he can keep the creep out from connecting these bases, and that's going to work out really well.
Yeah, sniping off the Infestors before they build up energy for fungal growth is also going to be huge. He finds a second one, and is going to be able to get on top of this drone mineral line. He doesn't even care about the Spore Crawler. He's just finding some good damage. The Queens are finally getting back over here to defend. Some of the Overlords also going down, but Seral has enough supply that he's not going to get supply block. Burrow is finished up. Oh, he's so close to fungal growth. He's just about 7 energy away.
Wow, this is just too much damage. Those Mutalisks have just murdered 25 workers, and they're not done yet, Robbie. True here with this wild mass Mutalisk strategy, catching Seral slightly out of position. His Queens weren't quite there. His Infestors weren't quite ready with that delayed tech, and it's been well worth it. More and more Mutas and Zerglings on the way, an Infestation Pit on the way behind this. Great counterattack from Seral.
Yeah, is there anything that True even has to deal with this? He's rallying back some of the Mutas now to help deal with it. Some Lings also coming across the map to help defend. He's going to be able to shut down the 4th base as well. Seral's economy is in absolute shambles right now, but he's trying to make the most that he can with some of these Roach counterattacks.
He's going to get a little bit more done with those 3 Roaches split up there, but he's still way down on the workers, and with that 4th base being denied, that is the big problem. These bases are all starting to mine out for Seral. Every second that goes by with True maintaining a decent worker count is very bad for Seral.
Yeah, and the funny thing is about this situation is that Lings and Mutas traditionally are not going to be great against a Roach Infestor army, so True needs to have that kind of lead. He needs to maintain this kind of lead, but one good engagement, a couple of really good fungals shutting down those Mutas can still turn the tide of this game for Seral.
Yeah, the thing True needs to do here is he needs to keep attacking. He needs to keep coming in from multiple angles. He can't let Seral just defend one location. And if he denies the 4th base, he can also kind of force Seral into attacking him. He can say, hey, I can tech up towards Hive, maybe make Swarm Host even, that this isn't the best map for it. And those are things which are going to completely invalidate Seral's army. You can't just make Roach Hydra Infestor up against Ultralisks. So if True does choose to go towards that Hive, that's going to force Seral to move out. And I mean, he's not looking ready for that at all right now.
Oh, does get 2 of those drones that were busy there mining gas. I think there's been so many of those Baneling run-bys that gas geyser is nearly dead, down to 17 hit points.
Oh, it's actually Seral the one going for Hive right now. True actually does follow suit, starts up his own one. True is still up at 66 workers, but verse 50. But the income tab actually tells the story. You guys can see it down at the bottom of the screen. About 700-800 resources more a minute in the minerals. True mining a lot more because he's got this 5th base up against a 3-base Seral.
Oh, but Seral, he's been so good with those counterattacks. 3 Brood Roaches moving over to that base and decided, you know what? No, there are maybe some juicier targets elsewhere. The Muta's moving to the main base, gonna be able to pick off a decent number of these drones and potentially kill the Infestation Pit if he really sticks around, but the Infestors are shortly following.
He's got to be careful. Those Infestors are right there.
not going to be throwing out any of those fungal growths. We do have that Roach counterattack finally making its way over to that 4th base. The Lings are going to get there pretty quickly, clean those up. But oh, this is a lot of Banelings to try and deal with.
A lot of workers are going to go down here, Ravi. Nice counterattack from True. He saw that Seral was prepared for small couple of Baneling and Zergling run-bys, but he was not prepared for that. Loses 14 workers. Seral's small economy becomes even smaller. He's finally got a 4th base up, but he's being bled dry here. Yes, the army supplies are still even. Yes, Seral still has a chance, but every second that goes by, it relies more and more on him getting a perfect engagement. And I just don't see True being silly enough to walk into that right now.
Yeah, True. I really just want to see him start looking to get a little bit further into that hive tech, start doing things like you were saying, throw down the Ultralisk Cavern, throw down, or even go up to a Greater Spire, something to start securing the game so he can take a big engagement, because eventually he is going to need to.
I guess I kind of like the mindset, though, from True. He says, well, if you push me, I can base trade. Have you ever tried to base trade against fast adrenal glands cracklings? It just doesn't work. Oh, man.
Fair points.
Oh, my gosh. Seral's mining is about to dip so hard. And what does he do? Does he all in right now? He's actually got a bigger army supply. True just needs to keep counterattacking and base trading. He cannot fight this army front on, and he's going for +3 flyer attack. Still no Ultra Cavern on the way. Very surprising choices by True.
Starting to supply block Seral right now. He can't make any more units. Oh, these mutas getting so close to the infestors. The fungal growth catches a handful of them. The rest of them get caught. There are so many infestors. He should be able to lock these down. The Hydra's cleaning the remainder of them up. And Seral finally gets a big win that he needs.
He needed that. He's starting to hurt True, but oh no! True saw them. He saw them. He's gonna. Yes, he manually detonates those Banelings, blows up all the burrowed workers. Yeah, you can hide, but you can't run.
But those fungal growths gonna lock down all of these Lings. So much of the army for True has just died in the last minute or so. There is a potential for Seral to just go for the counterattack, start going from the top to the bottom, shutting down any of the mining bases, and maybe making some magic happen. But True, like you said, he's not gonna let that happen that easily. He's going for that counterattack. He's going for the base trade.
Oh, Queen's on the ramp, actually looking pretty sick, but Seral a bit slow on the transfuses. Already loses 3 of those Queens, and with +2 adrenal gland Zerglings, the damage output is actually kind of insane, but that ramp doing the job.
He is holding it down. Mr. Medic Seral is just taking out all of these Lings. The mutas are starting to fall as well. And at the same time, he is obliterating everything else on the right-hand side of the map. Seral really making this look like he can potentially stage a comeback. There's still a couple of transfuses left over, Pig.
Oh no, he's getting pushed through those drones. Those drones weren't on hold position, so the Zerglings actually were able to shove them out of the way. They pushed the Roaches and Queens out of the way, and True finds his way into that base. There's next to no buildings left here for Seral, and that might be the mistake which actually costs it from Seral. I can't believe he's even fought his way back into this game. Seral has such a better army right now, but how does he stay alive? Does he have any drones on the map? No!
GG True ties up this series 1-1 with some fantastic play. Really, really masterclass, showing, again, his style. The way that he is going to win versus Seral is to pull him apart. We saw hints of the possibilities that he could do it versus an amazing player like Seral. But game number 2 is where we really saw the magic happen, Pig.
Spot on, Ravi. I mean, you've been analyzing it so well, because True has just been... He's been just doing what he has to do in that game. And in case anyone out there is wondering, did he tap out a little bit early? Not at all. There were actually drones in like 4 different locations for True. He was building extra hatcheries in Seral's main. He had a hatchery mining in the top of the map. Seral had a Hydra den, an infestation pit, and like one other structure, all off creep, all bleeding out, and with a ton of cracklings, gonna kill them in the next 10 seconds. So it was absolutely 100% game over there.
Yeah, I think his last drone was just sitting in the main base, mining gas, saying everything's gonna be okay. I mean, just seeing that image with the dog sitting in the house on fire, saying, yeah, this is fine. This is fine. I'm just gonna keep mining gas because you know what? I'm gonna be able to make some more infestors. Those infestors, they'll take care of the mutas.
I love the True fan squad out there. A lot of supporters for True, of course. He's such a wild style. He's also a guy who streams a lot. Yeah. Likes to do some fun builds out there. It's always a bit scary when you run into this guy on ladder, because something crazy is going to be coming your way. And of course, I don't think many people have really experienced what it's like to play against Seral on ladder, because he's normally at about 7,500 MMR on the European ladder.
Yeah, not easy to hit him, actually.
There's like 8 people that are actually in the range where they can verse him, because he is just so highly ranked.
Absolutely, but I do want to touch upon the fact that, you know, True, this staple in the scene, I think, at this point, especially the North American scene, and it's not just, I mean, a lot of people always think about, you know, the Koreans versus the foreigners a lot in these WCS events from the past, but True has definitely been one of those Koreans that got really integrated in the North American scene, practiced on the ladder, was a huge participant, and it's great to see him actually doing some really, really good stuff over here.
Yeah, a lot of the young Zergs on Psystorm, you know, they learn from True and they chat to him a little bit, and they have a really good team mentality over there. So, of course, let's introduce these players spawning down here in the bottom right-hand side. The blue Zerg, it is True.
And his opponent up here in the top left-hand corner of the map, the red Zerg player. Give it up for NC Esports, Seral. You know, and I was talking with True, and I said, you know, okay, because of course I'm going to try and bait out the reaction. So it's True.
Yeah.
Seral, easy. 3-0? It's like, no. Seral, very, very good. Very, very good. But Seral, I think maybe walking into this a little bit more confident. I feel like that's, again, that it's going back to what we were talking about before, something that's a little bit more common to see. A lot of people feeling very confident versus True. And then you get into the games and they just get really messy and really crazy.
It's like that, and that's what he wants to force. And hey, we might as well talk about build orders now that they're starting to shape up. True going for a 13-12 is the same build we saw Snoot do yesterday. No Queen. So this is as all in as it gets. I mean, you've got to at least kill the hatchery. You don't need to kill your opponent, but if you kill the hatchery, you can transition. If you don't get the hatchery or a ton of drones, you are in deep, deep trouble. However, Seral, he's gone pool first, and not only pool first, the safest pool first possible. He spots the Zerglings, and he already, before that, even had 6 Zerglings on the way and a Queen. So Seral, taking his opponent very seriously, playing just about as safe as you can. He's already got his Spine Crawler on the way, and he's even just going to hold on to this ramp.
Yeah, I mean, numbers don't matter if you're at a choke point, but Seral, even having pretty equal numbers, can chase these Lings a little bit further back across the map. The Baneling Nest for True is going to be finishing up pretty soon. He can use those weakened up Zerglings to try and turn into Banelings. They'll regenerate all of their hit points straight back up.
This is a really bad feeling for True right now. You know, whenever you're in this situation, you commit this much and you can't even like damage the hatchery, you're already going, oh man, this is a bit tough. That being said, because Seral played so safe, you can see in the work account, he's only up 2 workers right now. His Baneling Nest is way behind True's as well. And True now has this Baneling tech. This is his moment to try and get something done.
Yeah, do not be fooled by the fact that he's building a hatchery behind this. He has to do something over here to equalize. Oh, that Baneling hit going pretty well for True so far, and not many Lings left over for Seral. The Spine Crawler gonna get target fired down by these Lings. 2 Banelings still left over for True. This is actually going pretty phenomenally for True.
It's going okay. He doesn't have a lot of reinforced behind this. He's only got about 4 Zerglings left, but those 3 Banelings, that is where the potential damage lies. A lot of Zerglings about to pop out for Seral. No Zergling speed. He's gonna, he's hold positioning. He blocks the Banelings to get in though. They're in that mineral line. They don't go for the workers. They're trying to just stay alive.
Patience is going to be rewarding those who are patient, and a couple more lanes going to go down. The drones are all starting to fall. GG gets called. True goes up in this series 2-1.
So patient with that last Baneling. He knew that he had the Zergling advantage, so he just needed to get 1 hit on those drones to get them super low. He knew his Zerglings could finish the job. Great all-in build order from True. Seral playing the safest possible opening he could. Got a little bit ahead of himself, wasn't quite able to defend that natural. Maybe he should have just hung on to the main base. Potentially, maybe if he brings the Queens together, lets the hatchery tank some damage, and then moves down and leaves the Spine Crawler as a bit of like a safety net, I feel like that's the better decision.
Yeah, you know, it may have been a little bit easier to try and hold on against that form of aggression if that was the case, but I do also wonder, you know, True has just in these games, whenever we see that Ling Bling micro, yeah, they end up being relatively even, but I just noticed True seems to be getting these small little edges with each one of these Banelings. Every one of these Banelings for True just seem to find not a terrible connection. It's usually not dying to just 1 Ling. It's usually dying to at least 3, 4. Sometimes we see the big hits. And I don't think Seral's been really be able to give that same sort of response back to True.
Definitely, yeah. The Zergling splits maybe could have been slightly better there. It's always so hard, and I'm sure Seral's played against that many times on the ladder, but you see it here against True. It might come 2 seconds earlier than you're used to. And you know what? That 2 seconds means that Spine Crawler gets 2 less hits off, which means 1 more Baneling alive. And that actually is something which can be game-ending here. It comes down to such fine details when it's those early rushes. And now, can you believe it? True is up 2-1 against Seral here. This is not the scoreline we were expecting. It would be a huge upset if True could take this one out.
Absolutely. I mean, True was able to win a tournament, a premier event in 2016, but nothing this year. I mean, he got a round of 4 finish at WCS Austin, sure, but Yan Shiping not quite going his way and ended up getting eliminated in group stage 3. So being able to get a deep run over here would make wonders for his career.
And it would be a long way towards that BlizzCon finals, of course. Let's introduce him down here in the bottom right-hand side. Representing Psystorm Gaming, it is True.
And up here in the top left-hand corner of the map, he's not going to go down without a fight. The red Zerg player from Esports, it's Seral.
You know, I thought he looked a little bit angry after that previous game, but now he looks really a little bit thrown off slightly in that booth, but I'm not really thrown off. I think determined is probably the better word. Sometimes I say things which I mean the complete opposite, but yeah, he looks super determined in there, and I don't think he expected the scoreline to be like this. He knows that he should have been able to defend with that pool first opening in that last game, and no doubt he is chastising himself internally right now.
Yeah, and you were talking about that pool first, just you need to be safe against a player like True, but this is exactly what we were talking about before. You throw in some of those standard games as True, and then you throw out the crazy aggression, and then when you revert back to standard, your opponent is still going pool first thing. I gotta play it safe. What if he does something crazy again and True gets away with the hatch first? It's gonna be feeling good about how this opened up already.
Yeah, we've seen him like Mutalisks off this opening so far this series. Definitely doesn't want to go into just a straight up Roach versus Roach match versus Seral. He wants to gain something which can create a lot of openings. The Mutalisks managed to do that, of course. Back on Ascension to Aya, they found a couple of holes in Seral's defense. Did a lot of damage to those drones, and that was the secret to his success there. Here on Odyssey, quite a different map. A little bit of a shorter rush distance, a little bit more wide open spaces as well. So going to be very curious to see how the players played. Of course, Seral here, 1 game away from elimination. And if he were to lose here in the round of 8, that would be devastating. Not what he expects of himself, not what we expect of him either. So he's opened up with a very safe opening, an exceptionally early Baneling nest, delaying his hatchery a little bit. And you can see it reflected in the work account. True here, playing completely unafraid, already up 3 workers.
Yeah, I mean, yes, he did lose one of the later stage games to True when True was able to get up that massive Ling, Muta army and everything, but he did take a very solid game on game number 1 on Sequencer versus True by getting to that late game solidly. He just needs to make sure he doesn't take too much damage in the early stage of the game, is able to deal with those Ling run-bys, those Baneling run-bys, but 2 Lings up here in the top right.
And this is really interesting. Seral has frozen on that 19 drone count. Ooh. This is not something you see very often at this level of play. It is a 19 drone Zergling, Baneling timing off a pool first. And you would not expect Seral to do this. I don't know if True's going to be prepared. You can see his Baneling nest not quite finished yet. The Baneling's already finished morphing and making their way southward for Seral. He's dodged that Overlord as well. True, building 6 more drones. This could be a disaster. He hasn't even started making Banelings. Only now is he preparing for this.
How is Seral doing such a good job of dodging all of these Overlords? It's phenomenal. The Banelings still about halfway away from finishing up, but these Banelings from Seral are not going to be waiting. They do find 3 drone kills, which is actually going to get pretty close to equalizing the worker counts. Queens and Banelings now coming into the mix for here for True, but he just doesn't have any Lings. He needs to get some good hits. He does take out all the Banelings so far for Seral.
Ooh, nice micro from Seral here. Just trying to get past these Banelings. If he can get rid of those Banelings, he can get into the drone line. These Queens are so far out. And there we go. He's going to go for it, but there are enough Zerglings. Seral here forcing True to make a big response. And behind that, he's been droning up hard, ties up the worker count. And this creates a bit of an awkward situation. True, definitely still ahead in the overall mineral count. Seral did not find enough damage to equalize. However, it's still close. And now it's going to become a battle of who can get that third base up.
Absolutely, and I love just the confidence from True in that situation. I mean, you have this giant flood of Lings, this kind of scary attack that could do a lot of damage, and he's sitting there taking out the Overlord saying, no, you know what? I can kill that Overlord and defend against anything that you do. I'm not gonna let you get past any of these Banelings, make your way into the main base, pick off any more drones, but here we go. We got a Roachborn coming down for Seral.
That's where the depth of play comes from, True. That ability to still defend things. There's a lot of aggressive players who aren't so good on the defensive. True is not one of them. A little uncharacteristic blunder there, getting a couple of Banelings picked off by those Zerglings, but nothing major. Of course, Seral always going to look for those little edges wherever he can. The worker count very similar, and that was a great bait from Seral there. Lewis True Zerglings in. This is so annoying to play against. You know, we normally think of True as the annoying one, but Seral seems to be the one who's constantly finding openings with these Zerglings.
Yeah, it seems like the true Seral has been unleashed. Two Lings gonna make their way into the main base while a handful make their way over to the natural expansion. The ones in the natural expansion getting picked off pretty quickly. Doesn't seem like too many drones go down, but the Spire gets thrown down as soon as the scout is killed.
And he's got a good idea of what's going on now. He sees 4 gases. He saw no Roach Warren, no Evo Chambers. Seral knows he is going to be going up against Mutalisk play, and he's actually worked himself back into a worker lead, pressuring while droning, the name of the game for Seral. And I mean, suddenly, I feel like the early game really didn't go his way necessarily. I felt like he was slightly down. I look at all the stats now, and it seems like he's just a little bit ahead on pretty much every front.
Absolutely. These Lings over here for True, maybe going to be able to do some damage, but not able to get the Queen. Loses a majority of the Lings to Baneling as well as his opponent's Lings, but he is just trying to buy time, keep those Roaches at home while he gets up the Spire, and even just denying the Scout by having his Lings on the other side of the map, preventing Seral from easily moving around and trying to get some information about that Spire is going to be useful for him.
A little bit of mispositioning there from Seral, letting a big Zergling counterattack into that main base. Luckily, 3 Roaches popped out just in time to clean that up. He's got his own Banelings here at the third as well. He's going to defend that drone line. And at the end of that trade, Seral's still coming out on top. He's up 7 workers as well. Looks like he wants to do a big Roach Zergling Baneling push.
Oh, these Banelings are looking for blood. The drones are going to start to fall. Only 2 of them going down, though. A really good split up over there from Seral. But Seral smells blood in the water. He said, you know, you lost a lot of Lings. You lost a lot of Banelings. Where are your Roaches? Where are your units? True is still trying to buy some time over here, but Seral's not going to have any of it. The Mutas need to be here right now, Pig.
They're popping out. Seral does not have a lair behind this. He doesn't have a massive worker count. If he doesn't get a lot of drone kills, he is going to be in trouble. But it looks like he's going to have no trouble with that, forcing the drones to evacuate. Massive Baneling hits from True, ambushing Seral's reinforcing Zerglings on the ramp. True's own Zerglings come back, wrap around the Roaches, and True with an impressive defense, despite being vastly outnumbered.
He is going to be able to hold on, but he did take some worker losses. Seral now sitting up at 44 workers to 30, but he just made a huge round of drones. He's making a couple more Roaches. He's trying to buy time for himself with these Ling counterattacks. And True's going to be losing a lot of more workers over here, but True, is he going to try and counterattack with these Lings and Mutas, and how successful will it be?
There's no Spore Crawlers up yet. It's just a couple of Queens in the open, naked Queens exposed. Mutas and Zerglings jumping in, both sides trading blows right now. Seral's up a lot of workers, but how long can he actually hang on against those Zerglings? It looks like he's doing a good job of rallying out there. His Queens getting together and fighting them up, but the Queens in the open once again, getting surrounded by these Zerglings, and this is going to make things very difficult for Seral. That Baneling in there doing wonders, gets a couple of drones, but Seral, he stabilizes, he's hanging on. If he can just get rid of those Zerglings, he might actually be okay here.
True is effectively in a nearly all-in position. He has his hatcheries, but he just does not have the drone count, and he's not looking to re-drone right now, making more Lings, making more Banelings, but his Muta count is just so low. He's going to be able to take out the third base for Seral, but that's not enough damage, I think, Pig.
This is kind of crazy. I mean, because the problem is there's Mutas in the sky and there's no mobile response for Seral. Both players are working with very little right now. This is going to become very, very much a game of efficiency and precision. I mean, Seral's defense. Oh no, he lost his one Baneling. True sets off the Baneling, runs in with the Zerglings, wraps around the Roaches. He's got his own Banelings running into the main mineral line. He's gonna get a big hit.
Oh no, it's gonna be terrible for Seral right now as True able to get a substantial amount of damage done, nearly equalizing the worker count. Now, it seems like True may be losing 1 or 2 workers of his own on the other side of the map in the natural expansion, but True still has some of those mutants, but he's losing a lot of them to the Spore Crawlers.
I'm getting dizzy watching this game right now. There's so much going on. And Seral at the end of this is up 9 workers, but no third base, and that is big. We've still got only actually 2 Mutalisks in the sky, so not much of an air advantage here for True, but even that is very annoying. They can pick off Banelings, pick off Roaches. All we've got is Hatchery Tech, Queens, and Roaches here. No upgrades for Seral. He's starting an Evolution Chamber. Looks like he wants to get that +1 range while he's cranking out these units, and both players are so starved for minerals right now. This is such a weird game, and if there's a player who's good in weird situations, it's definitely True.
Absolutely, and also being able to have that map control makes a world of difference. You can see this drone for Seral desperately trying to get down at third base, but True just says, no, that's not gonna happen while I have all these links. Oh, you're gonna try and defend that third base? Well, let me go ahead and run to the main base. He moves in right before the Banelings are finished up. That would have been such a great setup, a great win for Seral.
Cancel on the third as well if his Zerglings go in there, and they will find it. True finds the opening. Seral just not having those Banelings quite ready. Lets his whole army get pulled out of position. Loses a hatchery, loses 3 drones. True finding the openings. And what has he done behind this? He's droned up. He's using his third base. He's got a massive income lead right now. And he's got more Mutalisks and +1 flyer attacks on the way. True running away with this game.
When you have to use a transfuse on a drone because it's that important to your economy, you know that things are not going great economically. But Seral is starting to hold strong. He's been able to stabilize a little bit by taking out all those units. He's still very far behind. He needs this third base. He needs to re-drone, but he's building up this Roach count. It's again about the fact that he just needs one really good engagement with this third base. Once again, True, he gets the kill, not the cancel pig.
Manual detonation on the Baneling. Seral was literally about to cancel it. True saw that. He just detonated his Banelings and actually, of course, destroyed it. That's 300 minerals Seral cannot afford right now. I think Seral is seeing his life flash before his eyes. He realized that if he loses this game, he is out in the quarterfinals. A guy we expected to go all the way through to the finals and maybe even win the championship itself is looking like he may be eliminated by True. He's going to keep fighting, though. He still has a chance in this game. He has a lot of gas in the bank. He's making an infestation pit. He knows good fungal growths might be the answer.
Never give up, never surrender, Pig. This is his best matchup. This is what he became known for. This is why everyone says Seral is an unbelievable god right now. He's got 7k MMR. He's playing versus Nurchio. He's playing versus a Laser. He's playing versus Snoot, all these wonderful kings of Europe. And if he loses in a ZvZ, that's going to be devastating. But the Lynx get into the main base, bypassing all the Banelings. The Banelings can get target fired down by the Mutas. And True may be over here, about to claim victory in the round of 8.
Massive kills there on those queens in the open. Every queen that goes down is huge. True gets the upset, takes it out 3-1. And what a surprising result.
Yeah, I think even True looking a little bit surprised about how that went. He's got a big grin on his face. And you know what, Pig? He has not been able to win a premier event since 2016, but right now he is looking so unformed. Never underestimate this guy. That is when he's going to perform his absolute best. We're going to find out how he's feeling right now and what is going through his mind as we hop over to the main stage, where Smix is going to be there with True.
Thank you very much, Ravi. Congratulations, True. You're moving on to the round of 4, but I mean, that is an amazing result in and of itself, but how much more satisfying is it to do it? Is it to do it by defeating a player like Seral, who's one of the best players we have at this tournament?
Yeah. Seral is best player Zerg now, but I think he is good in winter because he is from Finland. So now summer, so I think I could win, yeah. So I won, yeah.
Okay. You always have such great logic in your answers, but this series was really, really exciting. I want to talk about Ascension to Ire because you gained such a huge advantage in the economy, but then it got really, really close. Seral made it so close. So were you nervous that you would lose that game?
Yeah. Because Mutal is always has risky, so I wasn't sure, so I base trade. Yeah.
Well, your next opponent is going to be one of two Polish Zergs, Nurchio or Laser. Because you just took down Seral, who's such a fantastic Zerg himself, are you feeling pretty confident no matter who you face?
Oh yeah, I'm pretty confident, but I want Nurchio because I lost in Austin, so I want to revenge him.
All right, well, congratulations again, True, and best of luck in the semifinal. And I don't know if many people would have expected it, but it's True taking down Seral.
That's right, great performance from True there. Moving on through into the round of 4 here for WCS Valencia. And overall, sort of from him was a lot of strong Mutalist play, actually, with the Mutalings trying to wrap around Seral, trying to expose weaknesses in the backline, run past. And Seral, you could see after game 3, was visibly frustrated with the games that he was having to play, Jeff.
And that's just the True special, man. He'll get in there and just do the weird stuff. It was Muta play throughout the entire series. Either Seral wasn't expecting it or it just threw him off, or maybe his performance fell off, but it definitely was True showing a form that I have not seen. He's known for his risky and cheesy play, but man, he executed really well, I thought.
Yeah, as much as he did execute very well, you mentioned that it is risky, and it definitely is when you're playing that kind of Mutalist style, and if it's been kind of scouted out beforehand. But as Jeff mentioned, Todd, didn't look like he was ready to respond to it completely there, Seral.
Yeah, I think True came into the match with a great game plan. He really made the right adjustments. It wasn't just like one of the series that sometimes, like, you see out of Bly where it's just like, Bailing bust one base 5 times in a row, and then either it works or it doesn't. No, those were actually like games where he did a lot of intricate stuff that worked here and there, and really happy for him after last year's success that he had over in Montreal, I think that was. Or was it Toronto? Yeah, the one WCS event that he won before, True?
The WCS Summer, was it?
Yeah. It's good to see him come back strong here after he's had a period where he really struggled, actually. Not just necessarily in those WCS Premier events, but even in Challenger, there were a couple times where he bombed out early. So for him to come back this strong and beat the guy that, I made a tweet earlier today where I said, give me your predictions for the tournament. 99% of people say, there's maybe one guy that said that True was going to beat Seral, so everybody else lost already.
And it was True.
Yeah, probably.
It wasn't true.
But this is where we expect True to be. Him being a Korean, him being on this soil and performing in this capacity. We expect this from True. So moving forwards, can he kind of continue that on is what I'm trying to ask.
Well, I liked what Smix asked on stage. I think it's a great question. He did just beat Seral, who, despite this series, is still considered head and shoulders one of the absolute best Zerg players, but specifically ZvZ. You guys broke it down really well before this match. So, yeah, I mean, Nurchio and all the other Zergs basically in the entire tournament are going to be considered a step down. They're still phenomenal players, but True's got to be feeling pretty good.
Right, well, let's find out in just a few moments. Let's check in with the bracket and see what has gone down so far here, as we will have 2 more Zergs coming up in just a few moments' time. True finds himself in the round of 4, and later on down the line we'll have such matches as Kelazor versus Snoot and Neve versus Special. We're going to be moving on to Nurchio versus Laser in just a few moments' time. I don't think we'll see massive amounts of Mutalist plays out of these guys. There's always the potential, maybe, especially if Nurchio kind of feels like he moves back to kind of a more safer place in later stages of the game. But
yeah, go ahead, break down the matchup for us.
I like Zerg versus Zerg a lot, actually.
I do too.
I don't know. Yeah,
but not only we're supposed to do this after the break.
Oh, sorry.
You're also the host, but
he wants us. You know what? Break it down. As that guy says, the healer in
Lucio. Overwatch. The healer in Overwatch?
Yeah.
Let's drop the
Lucio.
Yeah, that guy.
Let's drop the analysis. Isn't that what he does?
That's exactly what he does, with that much charisma as well.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
My favorite.
Yeah, perfect. All right, I'm moving this on. Let's go. Time for a break now here for WCS
Let's
Valencia.
take a commercial break.
What he said. Let's see you in a bit.